Welcome to this Good Friday service. This is a little different today. This is like a long meditation. There's no music, no specific lesson, specific meditation. There's no offering. There's no official ending time. So you're free to stay and continue in meditation and prayer as long as you like. And Good Friday's a little different than Sundays. It's kind of a strange time. Today's daily word is contemplate. So we're invited to contemplate about difficulties, about mysterious things. Like, why do they call it Good Friday? There's been some discussion about that. There's been a lot of discussion about the meaning of the crucifixion within the Christian tradition and within unity. Some of the discussions have been dismissed recently, although they're still held by some. Like the idea that the crucifixion of Jesus was a ransom, was a payment to the devil who had captured humanity. And it was a ransom paid to release humanity from death and suffering. Well, that's not very widely held anymore. When we completely dismiss that because we don't believe that there is a supernatural power of evil. Whatever evil there is in the world is our responsibility, because it's probably our creation out of our ignorance and misuse of spiritual power. Another story about the crucifixion is that it was a sacrifice paid to appease an angry God. A God that would require a sacrifice like that, I don't think is worthy of worship. God is love. And that idea of God being angry and needing some sort of tribute or payment doesn't make sense. So we dismiss that. So then what do we do with it? Within unity, it talked about crossing out negativity. Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, said that we cross out the mortal to achieve the immortal. We cross out the temporal to achieve the eternal. We cross out negativity to be open for the energy of positivity. And so that the Good Friday is seen as a kind of denial, as a release time. It's endings. Endings are uncomfortable for us, but we run into them all the time. It's important to think about them. Consider the meaning there. Today I'm going to be talking about the 7 last words attributed to Jesus from the cross. Because I think when you put those 7 together, there is a process that's revealed that can show us a way of entering into surrender, into transition, into a difficult time. Now, these 7 words aren't all found in one place. There's a couple in one gospel, there's a couple in another gospel, and so I have arbitrarily put them together into a process that makes sense to me. And I hope it makes sense to you. So I'll say what the word is, say something about it, and then repeat an affirmation a couple of times that have to do with that step. So I invite you to think about a transition time you might be in the midst of, some difficult change where you need to let go. Let go with non-resistance. That's another explanation about the crucifixion, that it's a demonstration of the commitment to non-resistance and the power of the pathway of love, peace, and non-resistance. It's also a symbol of injustice, man's inhumanity to man. But we're going to make it a personal process for our own benefit of moving through difficult times. So, we start at the beginning. What I've chosen for the first word is I thirst. Jesus said, I thirst. And there's a story that they lifted up a sponge for him with vinegar or something on it. But he recognized that he had a need. I need something at this moment. So when we end at the beginning of a transitional process, say, what do I do now? I need something. So he said, I thirst. Recognize where you are and that there's a need. So try this affirmation. I drink of the living water of spirit, and my every need is met. I drink of the living water of spirit, and my every need is met. I drink of the living water of spirit, and my every need is met. Recognize your needs. The second word is one of the most famous ones. Jesus was heard saying, my God, why have you forsaken me? Some people have said that that was a cry of anguish. Those are the first words from the 22nd Psalm. The 22nd Psalm starts with those words, my God, why have you forsaken me? And the Psalm goes on to say, you haven't forsaken me. You are always there. I can always count on you. So the 22nd Psalm starts with a need, and ends with a celebration of assurance of God's presence and power. So he looked for assurance. We look for something within us that can give us hope, that can connect us with pure being, connect us with God, connect us with knowing that all will be well. What might you call on? He called on a psalm from his background. You have spiritual resources that you can call upon, no matter what's going on. Here's an affirmation about that. Even in the darkest hours, you strengthen me. Even in the darkest hours, God, you strengthen me. Lord, even in my darkest hours, you strengthen me. Feel the strength that arises within you from a deep connection with your spiritual source. So we have acknowledged a need, a personal need, and a turn to a source that can provide for our need. The next three words are about tying up loose ends, freeing ourselves from what would prevent us from going forward, taking care of business so that we are unencumbered and available to move on. Another famous word. Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. So Jesus looked and saw all of the different kinds of things going on. The people that were responsible for this had created this, people that didn't understand it, people that were devastated by it, but mainly the people responsible. And he said, Father, these are babies. These are ignorant children. They have no idea what they're doing. Forgive them. He was forgiving them. Help me release the judgments and resentments. Of myself I can do nothing, but I can do all things through that presence of God that strengthens me. So we turn to the power of forgiveness, to the flow of unconditional love that washes away resentments and judgments and frees us from attachments to what other people have done. Unforgiveness burdens us in whatever we want to do. Healing, prosperity, relationships, personal soul satisfaction. We release unforgiveness. of others. Through Christ within me, I freely forgive and let go of all human hurts. Through the Christ within me, I freely forgive and let go of all human hurts. The Christ within frees me of unforgiveness and human hurts. So that word of forgiveness was directed to the source of love that washes away all pain. What I have as the fourth word was directed to one of the thieves that was crucified with Jesus. Crucifixion was the common method of execution used by the Romans. And it was kind of insulting that what was considered the king of the Jews would be sacrificed, would be crucified with two common criminals. One of them turned to Jesus and said, "I've heard about you. You can do all sorts of things. You have the power to save us." He said, "Get me out of this. I know you can do it. Help me with this. Get me out of this." The other one spoke to the other thief and said, "You be quiet. You don't know who you're speaking to here. That's totally inappropriate." And he turned to Jesus and he said, "Remember me. Remember me when you come into your glory. Remember me in heaven. Remember me." And Jesus turned to him and he said, "Today you'll be with me in paradise." This is about self-forgiveness. The one thief that wanted to be helped didn't pay any attention to the reason he was there. The other thief was repentant, was confessing that this was appropriate for him. "Remember me. Show mercy. Lord, have mercy. Kyrie eleison. Hospedi pomiloi. Have mercy on me. Remember me." And that process of cleansing ourselves from guilt, shame, and regret frees us to move on. Self-forgiveness. So an affirmation about this word is I turn to Christ and know that this day I am one with my good. I turn to Christ and know that this day I am one with my good. We turn to the Christ and honestly address what's going on. Honestly acknowledge who we are. And know that we are one with absolute goodness. Two words about forgiveness. Those two words about tying up loose ends within us. The next word, fifth word, is about tying up the loose ends that are still going on around us. Things that are undone. Words that are unsaid. Finishing some work in relationships, obligations. So it said that Jesus looked down and he saw his mother. There would be no one to take care of her. It's a tragic situation for a woman in those days. And he looked and he saw his friend John. And he said to his mother, "Woman, behold thy son," indicating John. And John, behold your mother. Take care of responsibilities. Look for someone that you could ask for help. To whom would you turn for help? So an affirmation with this step is, with your help, God, I wisely and lovingly fulfill every obligation. With God's help, I fulfill every obligation. As much as possible. We may not be able to do everything, but we do as much as we can with God's help. We fulfill every obligation. So in these first 5 steps, we've looked at acknowledging needs and turning to needs, acknowledging loose ends, within us and in our lives. The last two words are about letting go, about acceptance, about release. Father, into thy hands I commend my spirit. Father, God, Lord, I turn everything over to you. I surrender every part of my being. I give up all of my roles as husband and wife, brother, sister, mother, father, worker, friend, human. I give up my connection, my identification with my body and with my mind and with my feelings. I surrender everything. I radically release and let go. It takes us a while to get to that point where we're willing and able to do that. We can't start there. I give myself and all my concerns into God's care and keeping. Thy will be done. I give myself, my cares, my concerns, everything into God's care and keeping. I surrender everything into the loving hands of unconditional love. Thy will be done. Thy will be done. Thy will be done. The seventh word is, it is finished. It is finished. It's done. It's complete. That's all there is. It's like the seventh day of creation. It's finished. Let go. I've done all that is mine to do. I release everything to the presence of God right now. I am at peace. I've done all that's mine to do. I let go. I am at peace. It is finished. It's said that after he uttered those words, everything turned dark, that there was an earthquake, that the world changed. The cloth that separated the Holy of Holies from the ordinary people was torn, and that division between humanity and God was removed, that the graves of the saints were opened up. In other words, the writer was saying this was significant. This process changes the world. So sit with these words. I thirst, I need something. I turn to what inspires me. I let go of judgment of others. I confess my shortcomings and forgive myself. I take care of what needs to be done. I turn everything over to God. I surrender everything. And then I acknowledge that it is done. I am done. It is finished. Be still. Stay with this. Stay with this as long as you like. You'll know when it's time to bring your awareness back to time and space, here and now. Take advantage of the investment that you have made in this time that we've shared here today. Bless you.